I would just like to let all of you know that this point of view switch isn't just Taylor's point of view like River did. No. Back in these days, I went by a certain alias, and I decided instead of Taylor, I was going to be called Taechan, and I hate it with every fiber of my being. But it's there. So, I'm not going to censor this. I'm going to just totally let all of the weeby shit come out so you absolutely understand 100% how much of a weeaboo I was 4 years ago. Taechan's point of view, first person. I looked around. I had to find somewhere to hide, and fast. That Toby creep was bound to chase after me, and soon. I saw an old abandoned building, so I ran to it. Maybe there I could hide, and maybe find something more useful to defend myself. The power was out, so it was pitch black inside of the building. I turned on my flashlight once more and ventured into the building. There were old arcade games everywhere, so I made the assumption that this was an arcade. Well, used to be. I looked at all of the games and marveled at how old some of them were. The original Pac-Man, Street Fighters, all of those old games. Suddenly the lights flickered on, and all the games began to turn on, one by one. Tap, 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 tap. I heard the fast footsteps of Toby chasing me, and I gasped, and in panic I hid behind one of the video games. He ran in and looked around, narrowing his eyes. Ben, did a blonde girl run in here? He asked. No response. Ben, I know you're in here, Toby yelled. There was a chuckle. Hee. Okay, you got me. There was a second voice. It seemed to come from all around, from every corner of the room. A second figure crawled out from the screen of one of the games. He looked a lot like Link from The Legend of Zelda, but his eyes were different. The whites of his eyes were black, and the irises were crimson red. But more terrifying yet, blood dripped from his eyes, and the skin was extremely pale, almost white. Ugh! 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 Sorry, I'm just dying. Because the next line... Ugh! Sexy, I thought, staring at him from behind the video game. Though, he's probably gonna try to kill me. I hid back behind the video game, trying to curl up as small as I possibly could. I then listened to their conversation. Yeah, she came in, but she hid somewhere. I don't know where. Well, she's in here. We just have to find her. I'll help, Ben said. Okay, you go that way, and I'll go this way. I froze up, scared for my life. They were gonna find me soon. I had to do something. I looked around in the small space where I was. All I saw were wires, rubble, and, hey, what's that? I saw something shiny. I moved aside some things as quietly as I could and grabbed the shiny thing. It was a pocket knife. How convenient. How absolutely convenient. The blade was a bit dull, but it was sharp enough to impale flesh. That has to be pretty damn sharp, I gotta say. I knew that Toby couldn't feel pain, but maybe Ben could. And all I would have to do to stall Toby is knock the air out of him or trap him, and maybe I could run out and stab Ben if I needed to. I looked out from behind the video game, met by a pair of black and red eyes. Found her! I gasped in surprise as I felt myself being ripped out from behind the video game. I stared at the boy who grabbed me. It was Ben, just as I had thought. I shook, afraid. Wait! What do you have? A knife! No! Wait, I have a knife! I took my free hand and opened the pocket knife and plunged it into his side. He screamed in pain. As I ripped the knife out of him, his grip released and his blood spattered onto the ground. Just then, Toby ran around the corner. Ben gripped his side in pain. Oh, you little bitch! He sounds so gay. It's all in my voice, I can't help it. Toby spat, running at me with his hatchets. I turned and ran, but I knew he was faster, so I quickly made a sharp turn, causing him to slip out of surprise, slamming into a wall. But that didn't slow him for very long. He quickly recovered, almost instantly. I ran, looking for the door. When I saw it, I realized that it was now on the other side of the arcade. I gasped and tried to run as fast as I possibly could. Suddenly, I tripped on something, causing me to skid to the ground and slam into a wall at the same time. I cried out in pain. Something cold and hard snaked around my ankles, dragging me across the ground. I tried to hold on to things as I was dragged along, but whatever had me was too strong. Oh no, the hentai plot. I was soon being held upside down in the air, being held by the ankles. Ben was still gripping his side. Blood had drenched his green clothing, but it was mostly dry now. Ugh! Oh God. Ugh! Momentarily dying again. Excuse me. Sorry, I know cringe culture is dead, but this. Like, I'm allowed to cringe at my past self. This was bad. Now, princess, why did you have to go and stab me like that? He growled at me. His eyes stared menacingly into mine. Oh, I don't know, I guessed dramatically and sarcastically. Maybe it's because you're going to kill me, I yelled. He chuckled, smirking. Well, we're trying to, but don't worry, it won't be long until we end your suffering, princess. I glared at him, struggling to break free. It turns out that it was metal coils that were wrapped around my ankles. Like, for some fucking reason, that's a power I gave him. I don't know. I still had the bloody knife in my hand, and I noticed that as I struggled, the coil swung. I smirked and kept struggling, purposely trying to swing towards him. He saw what I was trying to do, and suddenly the coils moved, slamming me into the ground. I cried out in pain, trying to break free of the coils, but like before, it didn't work. I was slammed into the ground a few more times. Jesus Christ. The air being driven out of me. I tried to scream for help, but I couldn't. I lay limply on the ground the last time I was slammed. I didn't want to move. Maybe if I played dead, they would let me go. That was a terrible plan, so I decided upon waiting for the right moment to strike. Toby came up behind Ben. Are you gonna kill her or what? The boy asked. Yeah, Ben growled, stepping forward, a sword pixelated in his hand. I stared at them, scared, but I was about ready to accept that I was going to die. I just hoped my friends would be okay. Any last words, princess? Ben growled. I stared at them in disbelief. Like you would actually care, I spat at them. Ben narrowed his eyes, glaring me down. I glared back. Just kill me already, I snapped. Ben jabbed me with his sword. The blade pierced my side. I let out a cry of pain. Ah! My blood spattered on the ground as he pulled it back out. My kink. Pull-out game strong, though. I gasped as I felt my own blood begin to pool around me. I felt them staring at me as my eyes closed and I fell into darkness. And now there's a time skip because when 9-year-olds, I was actually 14, when 14-year-olds don't know how to do plot, they do time skips. I opened my eyes slowly. Wait, wasn't I supposed to be dead? What's going on? I felt a sharp pain in my side and I remembered all that had happened. I sat up, sticky from the blood that had dried on my skin and clothes. I groaned in pain and blinked a few more times. I'm supposed to be dead, I thought, trying to see in the darkness. Suddenly one of the screens on the video games turned on. Just one. But why? I was still processing all that had happened and stared at the screen in both horror and wonder. It seemed to be waiting for me to approach it as I sat there for a while, wondering why the hell it was even on. I eventually got back on my feet and slowly walked towards the game. The screen was static, like if you turned a TV to a channel with no satellite connection. I laid my hand on the game and looked at the art on it. It was Pac-Man. Suddenly the screen turned black. There were red words written on it. Sorry I had to stab you like that. I just had to make it look like I killed you. I stared at the words, extremely confused and a bit shocked. You didn't kill me on purpose? The words changed. Don't think I spared you because I like you. Baka. That's not the case. It's just simply to keep you around for more entertainment. I sighed. I should have known that they only wanted to keep me around to torture me more. I turned away, but then I had a thought. But why didn't you just capture me if you wanted to keep me alive? I asked aloud. The screen changed. Dot 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 dot. Haha, I shouted. So why'd you do it then, huh? Why'd you spare me? I mean, I stabbed you, I asked. Why? Hee hee hee. Why? I yelled again. I wanted answers. Well, I just did. Thank me for it. Now get your friends and get out of here before I actually have to kill you. Toby and the others think that you're dead, so just get out of here as soon as you can. I felt really confused. But why do you care if I live or not? I asked. Just go, and if you live, I'll tell you later. Okay then, I mumbled, touching my side, noticing that the wound had been stitched up. Also, I left some stuff for you. Look behind Pac-Man. I raised a brow in curiosity and looked behind the video game. A medical kit. I took it, smiling. Wow! One last time, I looked towards the screen of the Pac-Man game. Now hurry! I nodded and turned away, but before I left, I whispered, Thank you, Ben Senpai. Woo! And then I left, off to find my friends. Almost as soon as I ran out of the arcade, I smelled the scent of blood. The pocket knife was in my front left pocket. I smiled, knowing that at least I had somewhat of a weapon, and ran towards the smell. It had to be one of my friend's blood, I was sure. I don't know how the fuck you smell that shit, but okay. I kept running, the smell of blood getting stronger. Soon I came to a body lying on the ground, my eyes widened in fear. River? I nearly screamed, but I restrained myself from doing so, or else it would attract unwanted attention. I knelt down by my friend's body, and the first thing I did was check for a heartbeat. Ba-bum, 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 'cause that's what a heartbeat sounds like. It's a jam. I sighed in relief. She was still alive, but she had a terrible, terrible stab wound that penetrated deep into her stomach. I did the best I could with the medical supplies I had, and stopped the blood from flowing any more than it already had. I wrapped her torso with some gauze and a pad to prevent any more bleeding, but I knew that this would not be good enough. I had to get her to a hospital, and fast. I looked around. Perhaps the others were nearby. River, I promise I'll be back, I whispered, even though I was sure she couldn't hear me. I got up and ran off to look for others.